to fit his need at the time. In the 19th century, immigration started to pick up in the US. And with immigration comes a merging of cultures. But white Protestants didn't want that at all. So they injected steroids into the Thanksgiving story and leaned heavily into the narrative that Native Americans gave the land to the Pilgrims, which emphasized a national founding, because we didn't have that founding myth, so to speak. So we needed that national founding, and established Pilgrim culture as national culture. Right? The Puritan beliefs, the rigidness, the kind of conservative nature of it all, that became the natural culture, and it worked.
Yeah, it's what
and
the
it was
nativists
used.
picked up, right? They were referred to, I think, as like referred to themselves as like nativists at that time. Is this what you're talking about mostly then?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would. Yeah, I mean, I don't know all of the factions
yeah, yeah.
of that, so
Yeah.
I can't speak,
Gotcha. That's fine.
academically to that. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think that that's probably playing into it.
Anyone, if you've seen
Um,
Gangs of New York, it's basically like a microcosm of sort of what we're talking about.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm, and I think that that's kind of the point, is that the story was warped several times to fit the needs of some powerful people or entities. But we're too in the dark to realize that. So it, again, we'll get to exactly why this is all detrimental. So you have all of that in terms of the immigration story, the Protestants taking this as a national founding, taking the established pilgrim culture and making it a national culture, and it worked. It was used repeatedly going forward after this, like I said, by powerful interests, powerful entities, not even just individuals, to really justify aggression towards Native Americans, immigrants, and non-white races, especially during Reconstruction. And why this was so effective was that it's because of what it did to the general public. It allowed people to sleep easy, knowing that the founding of the country originated in a bloodless colonialism and not the Indian Wars or slavery, right? So each of these powerful interests added myths to the original brief mention in that single letter of that obscure dinner, a fantasy of harmonious unity between allies, several instances of firsting, as if Native American history started when colonists arrived. I mean, the whole story of Native Americans here is the way it's taught is when we arrive, when we find this land.
yeah,
And then
that's exactly right.
replacing native culture with European superiority and bloodless submission to Europeans. These are all of the things that have been woven into this story when you start to really understand how it's being told and what's being said. So it's not that we can't have a Thanksgiving. Thanksgivings as a feast or dinner have been around as long as humans have had a harvest or something to celebrate. But to invent a mythology that ignores the past and current pain and suffering of Indigenous people that are alive and part of our country today is the ongoing tragedy of it all. We need to academically recognize and teach the historical relationships between colonists and Indigenous people and how that has shaped our modern society. And it's basically, the longer we shield ourselves from these truths, the longer the damage will continue.